Good morning, everybody. Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn is back for our monthly chat today, Thursday, May 29th, 2025. For DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching DrydenWire Live, presented by Americans for Prosperity Wisconsin. AFP Wisconsin works to reignite the American dream and break down government barriers that hold us back from our full potential. Visit afpwisconsin.com and join AFP to fight for more freedom for all Wisconsinites. With that, we welcome back on the show our guest who joins us on the last Thursday of every month, Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn. Romaine, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going good. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's a different background. Are you just at a different part of your office down in Madison?
Yeah, I just changed chairs, so yeah, same office, different chair, different spot. So
okay. How are things
bet.
going down there?
Things are busy. Another week. Had a full day of meetings yesterday, and joint finance is scheduled to meet today, where we really start to get rolling on the budget. The Department of Safety and Professional Services is up. They have their requests, and we go through those. So that's the big agency we'll be voting on today, and a bunch of little other items, and we'll just keep slowly doing that week by week now, building out the budget line by line, department by department, going through those requests, giving them some things and cutting others.
So on that note, so people don't know that you are on the Joint and Finance Committee, and
Yep.
just kind of recap for people, what does that mean?
So the Committee on Joint Finance is made up of Democrats and Republicans, both in the Assembly and the Senate, and we are designated by our respective caucuses to be on this committee, and we're the committee that actually takes the up and down votes and crafts the budget. So there'd be no way to pass on the floor, an item for every agency. I guess we could do that if you wanted to, but really this committee goes line by line, department by department, building a budget. Then we craft that, put that all together as one item, and then obviously we have to bring that to the floor for a whole vote, and before the governor butchers it with his line item veto pen. So it's that's part of the process.
How many lines are there about?
How many lines?
You say you go line by line. How big is this budget? Is it 1,000 pages? 600 lines?
The governor's proposal, I think, was like 1,800 pages. I had the original ream when it came out, and then obviously we gut that, so we get her down to about 500-600 pages, because we try to limit language, right? Because we know he can go in and change the meaning of things that we never intended, which is how we wound up with a 400-year property tax increase last budget. So
where are you now? How long? We're in. It's end of May. Do you guys have like a self-imposed deadline, or is it we get when it's finished, it's finished, or is there kind of a target date of we want this finished by in a month from now, by say July 1st? Is there kind of a target date?
yeah, that's a great date, because our fiscal year operates until June 30th. And so the last budget we voted on ends June 30th. So we don't have the next one done. Unlike the federal government, we continue to operate, right? Nothing shuts down. We don't furlough staff. The spending that we were doing last year just continues to coast. And so there's an argument by some that are saying, well, why even do a budget? Everyone already got more money last budget. Why do we even do another one? But there are priorities to get done. So we have a self-imposed June 30th deadline. Now, there's been times we haven't met it. Even under Governor Walker and full Republican control, we've had late budgets. It can happen. But usually at that point, there's pressure by communities trying to set their tax levy, school districts trying to set their budget, not knowing what we're going to give them or not. So there's some pressure there to get things done. And based on today's timeline, I think we'll be close. I hope we're on time. The one thing that's critical for us to be on time is we increased pay for personal care workers in our Medicaid program last budget. And so we raised the base rate. So we give providers a number, and they contract with people that go in and help your grandma do her laundry and give her a bath twice a week so she can stay in her home, right? Personal care workers that are contracted with an agency to go in and provide care. So we raised their wages last time, but it wasn't built into the base. And so I want to fund it again. But if we don't get a budget done by June 30th, those wages go back down to the rate from 2 years ago. So we can't afford to pay these people less. We can't afford to have them leave the workforce. And so that's why I want a budget done on time, to make sure we hold those folks whole, because they do such important work.
All right. And good morning, Mike Schaefer, Spooner Health CEO, who had chimed in. And Mike, I just saw, and I hope right before the show, I was scrolling through my phone waiting for Romaine to come on, and I saw on Facebook there was something about a pie in the face fundraiser, something. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I have it queued. I can't wait to go back. Hopefully, Mike Schaefer got a pie in the face. If that's what the whole thing, maybe that's not what it's about, but I think it
Oh
might be.
man,
So I know.
I'd pay to see that.
I
I don't
know.
care what the cause is. I'll pay to see Mike take
Oh, that's
prizes.
fantastic. Now, maybe I misread it, but I thought that's what it was about. Listen, you had put, so I love going to your Facebook page because it's the only other page similar to Dryden where you just kind of, it's interesting to read the comments. So we'll just say that. So I love going to yours and seeing
That's a
some of
good
the
word.
comments. I should be a
Yeah.
politician, right? It's interesting.
Hmm.
And there was something that you
Great.
had apparently, oh my goodness, what did he say? Oh, he was the MC. So he didn't get a pint? Oh,
Oh man.
well, I'm not watching it now.
Yeah. No, I'm not going.
Yeah.
No.
Um, so you had shared something from Governor Evers. This was a part of it, and it said this is from Governor Evers. In case you missed it, the Agricultural Roads Improvement Program has fixed rural roads in 28 counties. You shared that, and then what it says, Governor Evers, a farmer shouldn't have to travel 20 minutes out of their way just to get their products to market safely. Our Agricultural Roads Improvement Program is fixing rural roads across our state, and my budget continues this program to build upon our work supporting rural communities. So that all makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, great, I love it. But you had shared it and you put in, and it may be hard for people to read on a mobile device, but what you had said was what Governor Tony Evers doesn't tell you is that this, excuse me, that his proposal guts this program that Republicans created by $100 million and robs the forestry account to keep it partially going. His budget is full of gimmicks like this, and he's hoping nobody's paying attention. Hey, Governor, I'm paying attention. So I don't really know what any of that stuff is about. So what is this actually about? I mean, I really don't. I
Yep.
think most people really just don't understand that. So could you explain that?
Yeah, and that's why you elected and pay me to try to understand it, right? To make sure that our priorities are heard. So last budget, we know we have a chronic problem with the replacement rate of our rural roads, township roads, and every year we try to give a little upper and general transportation aids to support these. But we know the real heartburn locally is when farmers are trying to access their fields in the spring or get their crops off even in the fall, when our roads are vulnerable to frost and they have some, the equipment's getting heavier and heavier, bigger and bigger, and we didn't structurally build these roads for the implements that we have today. And so we have this conflict between towns and farmers where towns will post the roads and say, farmers in the spring, you can't drive on them or not at all because we'll put a weight limit on it. The town has the authority to do that. And then you could ticket that farmer for busting up the road,
Well, how are they
right?
supposed to get to the
So,
field?
well, that's a good question, right?
Oh,
So
is that what
we have,
Evers was saying about? Hold on, I want to go back to it. That what Governor Evers said. A farmer shouldn't have to travel 20 minutes out of their way. Well, that's to the market safely, but still, that's what he was referring to.
yeah, and we know examples, even small bridges, right? If a bridge is not structurally safe for heavy equipment, they'll post it.
Mhm.
And a farmer that might have had a direct shot to his field now has to go 30 minutes around to access the same field because a bridge is deteriorating.
Mhm.
So that kind of infrastructure investment, that's why the legislature came up. Senator Howard Markline and Representative Travis Tranel pushed for it, and we created ARIP, the Agricultural Road Improvement Program, where we will fund 90% of the cost of those targeted roads, but only if you construct them to a new standard that allows that heavy equipment. So township, you can never post them again, and you
Okay.
never need to because we built them to a new standard that can handle the capacity, right? So we're really not creating new farms. We know where our dairies are. We know where they need to get access. If anything, we're losing farms, right? And so we know the roads that take the brunt of this. So let's target those roads, get them built to a standard, and get rid of this conflict between farmers and townships who are trying to both do their jobs, right? Towns are trying to preserve the road, they have minimal budgets, and the county, same thing. If
Mhm.
you built a brand new county road to a lower spec and someone drove a huge machine across and beat the heck out of it, you'd be upset too, because how do I
Mhm.
fund that? You only have so many million every time to borrow. So that's what we did. So we put 150 million into it. We had 500 million in applications showing how big the need is. And so we got quite a bit of money across northern Wisconsin. Barron County was a big recipient, I think almost $6 or $7 million. just in Barron County alone, doing those core trunks where we know take a lot of beating. And so this budget, Evers proposes his budget, it comes out, and he cuts the program. He funds it with only $50 million, not $150 million. And then if you look into the details, he robs the forestry account to pay for it. And then posts that on Facebook and wants a pat on the back, like, oh, look what I did. It's like, well, starters, we put it in our budget last time. You signed it. And now you introduced a budget that guts it and robs Peter to pay Paul. And we're supposed to thank you for that, right?
I
So
get
I'm
it.
like, no. One, we're going to fix it, I hope. Working with my colleagues to say we're funding this program again at the same rate. And we're not going to rob the forestry account to pay for it, which is ridiculous. So
Well,
the
thank you
forestry
for
money is
explaining that.
for
See, if it
forestry
was
priorities.
just said that way, but that again, that's why I'm so grateful that you come on the show and kind of explain some of these things because I didn't get it. I'm like, what do you mean
Yep.
he's taking away money from in forest for what? And where's the 100 million? What is going on?
Yep.
So,
And the irony in all this is he proposes a budget that spends 20% more than we did just last year. A huge amount, unsustainable. Everyone gets an upper, everyone's spending more money, but the one place he cuts is for rural agricultural roads. I'm like, are you kidding me?
that's
I'm
weird.
like, literally everyone gets more money, but you choose our rural agricultural road program to cut $100 million. So obviously, I'm going to do my best to make sure that does not happen.
You had sent out a press release not long ago. The headline from your office was Senator Romaine Quinn passes bills to help local residents. There's 4 things in there. I want to get to that in a little bit, but first, we've talked to the last couple shows updates on the ROFR or the WIRA, and I don't know if it's still now ROFR again, but it's whatever. Is there any updates on that?
Man, it's been quiet on the Western Front. I have not even heard that term brought up in the last 3 weeks. So I'm assuming it's not coming back. I don't know if anyone's changed their mind in terms of votes. And obviously, it won't come back unless there are the votes. And I'm not the one trying to whip votes, so I don't know where it's at. But I have not heard it at all. And I think it's a conversation we've now moved on.
Good. It just, in my humble opinion, good.
Sure.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I'm
whatever.
excited to work on other things. I'm
Yeah,
excited
no
to try to
kidding.
fill that
All right.
vote. So.
Well, we have a whole bunch more to get to. We'll do that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
You know, I don't know if you noticed or if you saw it, but Fitzy's and my last Positive Tuesday show is on Tuesday.
Did.
He retired as a sheriff. I'm going to tell you, it's only been 2 days, but my back's already feeling better. I've had to carry that guy for so long.
I hope he's watching.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm kidding.
man.
I love that guy. Have you talked
Yeah,
to him?
no, my staff, Erica just said this morning, what am I going to do on Tuesday mornings now? She watches it all the time.
Oh, she
So,
does? I didn't know that.
yep.
Oh, man, had I known that, we totally would have like ripped. We usually give you compliments. Oh,
She'll
had I
tell me
known.
that too if I can't watch it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so you had a press release sent out from your office recently. Senator Romaine Quinn passes bills to help local residents. There's 4 in here, and I just grabbed a little, like, an excerpt kind of from each one, so you're going to have to explain them. Senate Bill 172 protects consumers from entering into predatory financial agreements that exploit property owners by giving them cash but take out a lien on their property. Could you explain that one?
Yeah, so there is a bad company nationwide and other entities as well. What they'll do is they'll go to grandma or grandpa, they'll knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'll front you some cash. I'll give you 3 grand today. If you sign this contract, if you ever want to sell your home, you have to use me as your real estate company." So they go, "Okay, well, I might not want to sell my home anytime soon. I could use the 3 grand. I signed the contract. Good to go. Someday if I sell, maybe I'll use them." But then they use that contract and they go down to the courthouse and they put a lien against your property. And so we have people now, years and years later, they don't have their original contract, they don't know what they signed, and there's now a lien on their property. And to get that lien off, you have to buy this entity out. And in some cases, it's a percentage of the total value of your entire home. And so that 3 grand might cost you 10 grand. And you didn't get any service out of it, right? So what we're saying is for non-improvement contracts, you can't file a lien on someone's property. If you hire me to come build a deck on your house and I do that, you don't pay me, I'm going to file a lien on your house, right? There was an improvement. We signed a contract for work and I did something. So I filed a lien. But when I just give you a couple grand cash, I shouldn't be able to go to the courthouse and file a lien against your home. And so that's why we're just banning the practice, right? It's bad. It's a bad image for realtors. Real realtors are not doing this. It's one particular company. We know of at least 400 instances. And again, what we find, it's elderly people. They don't remember what they signed. They can't find the contract, and they owe thousands and thousands of dollars to a shady company. And it's ridiculous. So we're just protecting people's assets and banning the practice.
So you're closing a loophole, basically.
Yep.
Got it. Are people right now, though, should they be concerned? How do you find out if you have a lien against your house? You just call your bank, or
yeah, you can
I'm
do
just
a
wondering
title
if somebody's
search.
actually watching this. It's going, I should probably check, because you never know.
Yep, you can go down to the Register of Deeds office and check to see if someone's filed. You can work with a title company to have them search your property to see if there's any liens as well.
Sure.
And so that's why there's actually, I know Barron County has it. I don't know if Washburn has it yet or not. But it's like a live indicator notification system, and we actually have a bill to fund it statewide. So if someone files something against your property, you get an instant notification. So that way you could go down and try to contest this and get in front of it before this becomes a real issue.
Nice.
So,
all right.
yep.
The Register of Deeds would be the place where people should call if they have want to just double check. All right. The second one that you had was Senate Bill 56, provides a simple fix in state law to allow Superior's water utility to be eligible for federal funding that will offset a significant portion of service line replacement costs for both utility customers and the utility. If I recall, when we posted this, there's a lot of people talking about Superior stuff in the comments. And once again, I don't know what a lot of the stuff is about. So what is that about?
Man, so this was supposed to be just a simple bill, and it turns out not to be. But so right now, there are federal requirements that by a certain year, every water utility in the country has to have lead lines out of their system.
Sure.
We know any amount of lead in your water is not good.
Yep.
So right now, there are federal funds, both loans and grants, loan forgiveness, to help municipalities, municipal water utilities, with the removal of these lead lines and the homeowners. So you live in Spooner. I don't know, your homeowner that you rent, he could have lead on his side of the curb stop. So the utility is really responsible from the middle of the road to your sidewalk. But from the sidewalk to your home, that is your line. That is your lateral from your house to the curb. And so that's private. But now we've moved into the area of helping even the private side. So the problem is not federal law, but state statute says if you're a private entity, a private utility, you can't access the same funds.
Oh.
And so Superior is home to the only private water utility left in the state. And now you could argue, should it be private? Should it be public?
Well,
That's
regardless.
a conversation for another day. But people right now need help. And so we want to make sure residents in Superior can access the same funding that every other Wisconsinite can. And I thought
seems straightforward.
Yep. And
What's the pushback?
Padding the pockets of a private organization, although you're following the same DNR regulations as a public water utility. The utility has to do the work, submit the receipts, show they did it, bid the project, and then they're reimbursed in the back end a percentage, not the full cost, a percentage of the work that's done. And so if the city wants to fight with who should own the utility, that's their own problem. But the point is, there's help out there right now. The money's running out, and Superior residents are federal, state taxpayers as well, and they should have the same opportunity to access these funds to replace these lead lines. And stopgap, end of story.
Kind of.
So this is pretty timely. We had a hearing yesterday. It already passed out of the Senate. A hearing yesterday, and the mayor of Superior and his wife drove down to Madison just to testify to kill the bill.
Who was it? The mayor? Why would
I've never seen a public official work so hard to make sure their community doesn't get help than what I saw yesterday.
So did they testify? Were you there for that hearing?
Oh, I sat through the whole thing.
Okay,
yep.
and what was there had to be some it can't just, I'm assuming the mayor just didn't show up and say, I want to make everything worse for my, citizenry and my constituents. What was the actual, but here's the part that you don't see. What was that? What was the actual reason?
So there's a lot of rub going on in the city of Superior on a number of issues, and one of them is the utility side, right? I think the city at some point wants to pursue buying the utility,
Oh, there you go.
and so I think there's ambition there to take it over. And I know there's been some concern if you replace lines, could you end up raising the value of the utility to then it costs more for the city to try to force the sale later. They think the company is already charging too much and they're going to pad their pockets, which is not how the program works. And so regardless of all of that, again, it's just very simple.
Oh.
Do you want help or not replacing lead pipes in your community? And they've staked out their position. So, but either way, we're moving forward. Like I said, it passed the Senate. Working with my colleagues to get it through committee next week, and we'll get it to the floor. And I imagine the governor will sign it. So again, what do you think? Whether you think a utility should be public or private is irrelevant. Yep. There's money today to help people on the ground replace lead pipes. That's our goal, and that's what we need.
All right. I want to throw in this here. So the previous topic we talked about was Senate Bill 172, protect consumers from entering in predatory financial. We just got finished talking about it. If you're just joining us, just go back a few minutes when this is finished and watch that. But Emily Gall had put in a comment. That's a great program. This is what you're referring to, I believe, in Barron County. And she put in the link. It's propertyfraudalert.com.
Yes. And I think a lot of counties are subscribed to that. But not every county is. So we have a separate bill. Senator Stafford has a bill that actually lowers the transfer tax on real estate transactions. So when you sell your house, you pay a tax to the state on the sale of that house. And the fee is, it's as a percentage of the value of their home. And so we want to cut that down to save homeowners money, give a larger share to Registry of Deeds to operate, and then fund statewide to make sure every county has that exact same program.
Sure.
So right now in the state, we basically take 80% of this. We give 20% back to the Register of Deeds, who actually does all the work recording the deeds, and we skim 80%. So we want to give them half, give another 20% for this program, and the state will keep 30%, and we're going to cut the rate when you go to sell your home, so you could keep more of your own money. Shocker.
Well, we'll see if it actually gets done.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it all sounds good in theory. Here's the third one. So again, this is from you had a press release last week. Senator Romaine Quinn passes bills to help local residents. The third one here, and there's 4. Current law allows counties that have land designated as county forests to receive grants to help fund a county forest administrator position. Senate Bill 158 will give counties a greater applicant pool to hire and retain qualified county foresters by allowing work experience to be considered with other levels of schooling. Seems kind of straightforward, but tell us more about that.
It is, and actually, Emily will know all about this because this actually came from Burnett County. Because right now, we're very rigid on terms of what education requirements you need to be a county forester. And if you're not a county forester with those education requirements, your county can't get the grant that funds the salary of the position from the state. So we partially offset the cost of that. So the county forester in Washburn County to Burnett County, every county's got one. Mm-hmm. But you had to go to the right schooling, the exact qualifications. So what we're saying is there's other means to show that you're a quality person, right? And like in Burnett County, you've got someone who's worked in the department for 28 years. May not have the exact credentials, but why can't we take into account his already management experience when we qualify him for this grant? So you might have a degree in environmental science, not forestry, and you've had experience managing a department. Why should you be disqualified for help? So all we're doing is taking into account work experience. I think someone with work experience sometimes is a lot more useful than a college grad coming right out with the right credentials but no experience in management.
I agree. And depending on what the profession is, I mean, we wouldn't want to throw like doctors into that category, but I would say like the majority are. And yeah, you would reference Emily because she would understand that. And Burnett, Emily Gall, who is the founder of North of 8 Design and Marketing, who, by the way, will be our guest on the show next week on Thursday. But she's also a Burnett County Board Supervisor. Just filling in the gaps there. So that all seems pretty good. Is there you think any pushback on that one? And if there is, what would it be? That maybe we just have to hold people to a certain standard, have to have a degree? Or not a degree, certain schooling and
still
education?
say, and our options are you can have a bachelor's I think in some other environmental studies, not exactly forestry.
I see.
Or you can have an associate's in forestry, but with so many years managerial experience as well. Take that into account, right?
I get it.
So, but it doesn't say a county has to hire that person. It just gives you more flexibility as we see the pool of eligible people continue to decline if there aren't more people going through that exact program down in Stevens Point.
Sure. Understood. And the last one is Senate Bill 215 provides important updates to state statutes, making it more efficient for town governments to operate, including how vacancies are filled. You had more of an explanation of that in your announcement, but for people who didn't see it, what's that about?
Yeah, every year we work with the Towns Association to do like a technical cleanup bill. And so they come to us, we sit down, and how can we make government operate more efficiently or better, right? Or what can town
That just sounds
governments
so funny.
not do? Right.
Efficient government. That's weird.
Yeah, right. Well, we try.
That's
Try our
good,
best,
though,
man.
right? At least you're trying.
Right. So examples, if, a clerk retires in the middle of her term and you want to combine the clerk and the treasurer position and the town votes on it,
Sure.
do you have to wait until the next election to be able to do that? So all sorts of little things. Where you post your meeting minutes, cities can do it this way, towns can't. So just, it's a cleanup technical bill. We tried last session, we ran out of time. Shouldn't be any opposition, but
I've heard that before. People say that. Ran out of time. Can you explain that, actually? What does that mean? I mean, if there's still more things to do, but you have to finish everything by the end of the session, right? So there's nothing that can come up after that?
Well, it can. It just has to be the next session. So then you'd have to start all over, right? You have to introduce the bill. You have to rehear the bill. You have to get it out of committee. You got to get it to the floor. So all of that has to happen all over again.
And they can't extend. Like, when is the session? Is there every year it's a cut date, or this is when we finish?
Yeah, I don't know what they are exactly. Or, when the legislature kind of goes home a little bit in the summer and they'll come back in the fall. So it's like this spring, we're getting close to it's like, if you don't get your bill done in the next couple of weeks, it's probably not going to get done before the fall session.
Okay.
Because you should have had a hearing already. You should have got out of committee already. We only have so many floor dates in June and July.
Yeah, that's a big process in order to. I get it.
Yep. So everyone was busy. It wasn't. I don't know. We were busy too. When you're running like 15 different things and one just doesn't get done. So that's one we're just bringing back.
You learned a lot on joint finance. I know you've mentioned that before. It was like drinking water out of a fire hose. You said at the very beginning, learning all this. What have you learned in the last few months that you've been on it that you didn't know before? That you think every other person in the Assembly and in the Senate, like everybody should know this part? Because not everybody, of course, knows all of the finance stuff.
Man, what should everyone know? So I would say yesterday we had our first pre-meet where our Republican side gets together before we negotiate with the Assembly Republicans. So that might be something people don't know either. So there are differences in the two caucuses, meaning the Senate and the Assembly, on directions we should go. Everything from tax cuts to spending to school policy to you name it. And so we try to formulate a position. We caucus amongst ourselves because I can't go ask for something that I can't even get the votes for on my side, right? So we caucus amongst ourselves as a whole body, and then we do a pre-meet, a caucus with just the senators, Republicans on the Finance Committee.
Okay.
So it's myself, Senator Howard Markline, Senator Bradley, Senator Wimberger, Senator Teston, and Senator Stachel. And so yesterday we had our first pre-meet, and I thought that was fun. We went through, here's the options for these different departments, and you wanted this, I wanted this, he wanted that. Okay, now which one are we going to do? And we try to hash that out together, get to a good spot, because when we walk out of the room, that's our position. We may not have wanted it, but that's our position. And then now we go to the Assembly and say, hey, here's the Senate caucus position, and they'll tell us, well, that's dumb, or we want to do it this way, or maybe not, right, depending on the issue. So then once there's agreement there, then we'll take it to the whole Joint Finance Committee where it's debated with our Democratic colleagues as well.
And they do the same thing.
Yep. It's a lot easier to get to the same position when you're in the minority because you don't have the votes. So you're usually just a no or trying to pick it apart. Just a different role, right?
Well,
everyone has.
So in the Joint Finance Committee, if you can kind of give us a little inside baseball here, obviously just a general assembly or the Senate, or at least what media portrays, and I think a lot of this stuff is probably accurate, just regarding if Republican is for it, therefore Democrat must be against it. That happens, or vice versa, right? I mean, sometimes that's a common thing. But in this committee, especially when it comes to the budget and finance, it's like one of your number one jobs, right? As elected legislator is the budget. But do you find there is that same, I don't know what the word would be, that same, is it different when you're in those committees and there's Republicans and Democrats, but really we're trying to get to the same spot and it's behind closed doors so you can actually have conversations, or do you still find it is very partisan in these joint finance committee meetings?
Man, you should watch one on Wisconsin Eye.
Oh, I didn't
They're
know I
very
could,
partisan.
actually.
Well, don't. I wouldn't. If I wasn't on finance, I wouldn't watch it either.
Okay.
But again, it's the theatrics that get played, right? Their job is the opposition. They want to be in the majority. They have to tell the public why they think the Republicans shouldn't be in the majority. And so they will pick everything apart to the best of their ability. And they do a good job. Now, I don't agree with everything, but that's their role, right? I always said I've never served in the minority, since 2014. Granted, I've been under Governor Evers, not just under Governor Walker. I've never been in the legislative minority, but I always said that's got to be the easiest job in the world because I can be a no on everything. I don't need a real solution. I'll just throw bombs on the floor and then walk away, and I'm good because I don't have to do anything, right? Yeah. I don't have to pass a budget.
Yeah.
I don't get to negotiate on that. I don't get to, I just have to make the other side look dumb. So I'm like, man, what an easy job. I hope I'm never in the minority, but sometimes I am jealous of something.
Well, be careful because, come on, next session. I mean, just saying. What is it right now? What's the Senate? Fine. How many Republicans in the Senate? There's 33, but how many are?
There's 18 of us, down from 22 last cycle.
I'm just saying.
Oh no.
You may be in the minority sooner than you think.
Fine. No. They would like that. We're not going to let her happen.
Oh my goodness. Do you still like doing this?
Every day is different, but no, it's great. Especially being on finance. I think we've talked even from a long time ago, right? The committees I pick not because they're the most flashy, but I can have an impact on an issue before it hits the floor for the district, right? And so now being on finance, it's that much more, right? I'm in the pre-meet room arguing about something I had to tell someone else to help me with last time. Now I'm the person that gets to do it. And so, being in the room and making these decisions is great. It's just a huge opportunity, and it's great.
How are the kids?
They're still alive.
That's good.
Luckily, my wife keeps them alive because if it's just me in the picture, I don't know how they would do.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yeah. I've literally talked to Drush about that. I'm like, I could be gone tomorrow, and like you're totally fine. But that's not the same thing if it's the other way around. Like I wouldn't know how to do anything. Yep. Oh my goodness!
And then baby number 3 is due in August.
What?
So I told the co-chair, you didn't know Raquel was pregnant? Yeah.
No. So how did you not tell me that?
Well, ta-da! It's on DrydenWire.
What? When is she due?
So I told the co-chairs, I'm like, this budget better be done before August, or she will kill me if I'm in Madison and she's with 2 feral toddlers and a newborn by herself. So I'm like, this budget's got to be done.
When did you say August?
Early August. Yep.
Early August. Yeah. And we talk quite a bit. I don't know how it just never came up. I don't know.
Yep,
That's so bizarre.
No, I didn't tell you. So yeah.
Yep. Okay, holding that one. I see. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
3.
Other than that, life is good.
Yeah, are you gonna stop after 3? Because that's enough.
Yeah, well, it's enough for some. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Let's get this one done first, and then we'll talk about it, Ben.
I'll
let you know the next time.
Yeah, would you? I'd appreciate that. All right. Well, that's all that I had written down that I know for sure want to talk about. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to? What else is going on down there?
Yeah, I would just say, we are full steam ahead in the budget process now. If everything goes right, we should be the Joint Finance Committee meeting every Tuesday and Thursday. And so if there are particular budget items, departments that you care about, the time for your input is dwindling fast. Because once joint finance moves through an issue area, we don't go back. And so that's the decision that's made that will come to the full floor for a vote, unless something goes sideways and a member needs something different to get there or something, right? So right now we start with the little departments, and then eventually we're going to be in education. We're going to be into the UW. We're going to be into corrections. Some of the big ticket items that I know a lot of people watch because of their occupation or what they care about on here.
As I mentioned earlier, Emily Gall, who's the Burnett County Board Supervisor, I'm on the Washburn County Board. Is there anything that we should be paying attention to as supervisors in counties that's happening right now that we should keep an eye on?
I would say funding-wise, I know the Counties Association, the Burnett County folks, they come down a lot. So I think I've seen those guys quite a bit, and every county does a good job at doing this, right? So the county is looking for more support for your CSP program, which provides case management for those dealing with mental illnesses, keeping them out of hospitals and helping them support and maintain the stability in their daily lives, which saves taxpayer dollars, and it's the right thing to do. So like that program, I know the association's asking for more money. And there's odds and ends things too, funding for county conservation staff. I don't know how many staff you have, Ben, in Washburn County. So statutorily, the state's supposed to cover 100% of the first position, 75% of the salary of the second, and 50% of the third. But we never made it sum sufficient. So as the expenses grew and we cut it over the years, we're not funding the statutory requirement. So I know the counties are looking for support to actually fund what the state said we would do at one point, right? So, lots of items.
Do you ever have anyone ever come in and say, here's the thing, we don't need all this money, actually. We're not asking for more, and you can take some of it back. Ever had one of those?
No. But I've had meetings where they said, we don't want anything else. Just keep funding our appropriation the way it is. That's pretty rare. Or the fun ones where they come in, they say, hey, those people don't need that $5 million, but we could use it. So I'm like, oh, this is good.
You're making a very compelling argument why they don't need it. And also, on a side note, I'll just throw this in there. We could use that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just saying. Andy Sapek, good morning, fellows. Superior Fire Department could use some emergency funding in case of another explosion like Husky. Not a bad idea for this budget cycle. Yeah.
So Superior is involved along with the Ashland Fire Department on the hazmat team, the statewide hazmat team.
Mm.
And this is one area in the budget. Again, everything got funded but them in the governor's proposal. And so they're looking for, I think, $3 to $4 million, basically to get them up to the point where they could actually respond to a real crisis, right? So they were on the ground for the RNC convention in Milwaukee. And, they're on the ground for major events. God forbid something major happens. And right now, I think based on like federal standards, like we're barely even meeting the requirements to call ourselves whatever rating we have. And it's pretty cool that the fire chief in Ashland actually really heads this up, and which is a statewide entity.
Awesome.
But we have our own locals that run this. So I know they've got a budget ask as well that we're looking at.
All right. Mike wants to know, obviously being the Spooner Health CEO, when will you get to the Medicaid portion of the budget?
Yeah, I think right now we're kind of pushing that off because obviously there's conversations on a federal level, if you haven't been watching, regarding Medicaid. And so those decisions could impact what we choose to do as a state. And
how long can you keep kicking that can?
Well, we want to get the budget done, right? But I'm assuming we'll take it up near the end. We can choose what we do which week, right? And so if there's something particular we're waiting for the feds to give them more time,
you just push that to the next
something
week.
Up or not, we'll And so we kind of see what's in the House bill that passed. It's in the Senate's lap right now, and they're going to tweak it and send it back. And I mean, there's a chance it doesn't even get done, right? So it's Congress. They actually don't get anything done.
What?
Besides Tom. Love you, Tom. Besides Tom.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. I don't know. That big beautiful bill. I don't know. I was reading something. I don't know who said this or who actually
bill. Huge.
Who said this? That who was it that said this? That it could be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't think it can be both. I had some question marks in there, and I don't really get into a lot of that stuff because it's over my head. But yeah, there's some things that I don't know if I love.
Yeah, and I think it's good for people to remember. And I was in that camp before I got down here, and we're a little microcosm of DC. But imagine trying to get a bill, and you need northeastern New York Republicans, southern Texas Republicans, and Western California Republicans all agree on the same
All
issue.
two of
and
them. Right.
They are not the same people.
No.
They are not. They are very different Republicans, right? And so to cobble together a package, I mean, we can't hardly do it here with 17, right? And we're only 200 miles apart from each other. So we're really not that different. I mean, we are different Northern Wisconsin. We're not the country club Republicans of the Southeast. But I can't imagine being the Speaker of that House trying to keep all your factions together. So I always said it's easy to be a no. Anyone can find a reason to be a no, but you should try to find a reason to be a yes to try to get your job done.
I suppose. But I'm still going to pick it apart anyway.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Because I don't have to. I don't have to worry about Big Beautiful Bill really ties the hands of our state legislator when it comes to Medicaid. I'll leave it with that. Do you think that is true? Do you agree with that, Romaine?
I would say certain portions. So not to get in the weeds on a particular issue, but there's a avenue for us to pull down more federal dollars by assessing hospitals a higher tax, basically, and then reimbursing them a higher rate to make them whole, but it pulls down federal funds. And the proposal locks states out from increasing that number. So some states already do it way up here, we're way down here. And so that would tie our hands. I would say on the other front, like if they block granted Medicaid down and allowed states to do reforms without going for federal waivers and all this garbage that takes years to do, I think that could be a good thing. We've always talked about, instead of having this fiscal cliff, how can we back people's benefits down? For every $5 more you make, let's back off $1 of benefit. So there's not this cold turkey. I refuse to work another shift or take a raise or a promotion because I don't want to lose my benefits in the back end. I'll lose more money, right? So these kinds of reforms, having thoughtful conversations, don't happen because we have to get permission from the federal government to do anything when it comes to Medicaid. And so that could be exciting. I know it worries some people, like it gives you leeway to maybe cut certain things, but I would say reform certain things. How do we, and we've all had to do it in the private sector, right? We become consumers of healthcare, not users of healthcare. The days of I met my deductible, so let's do whatever we want because someone else is paying for it are over, right? We need to contain costs. But in Medicaid, if there's no copay and there's no cost, what keeps me from going to the emergency room 3 times a day when I could schedule an appointment and wait for a doctor, right? But if I'm not paying the bill, why do you care? And now I'm trying to figure out how do we fund the cost to continue this $1.6 billion over the next 2 years just to maintain the services we have today, right? So how do we change the way we operate and view Medicaid dollars to be more efficient? And we just can't do those things because of the feds. So there could be opportunity.
I'm glad you're doing this job. I really am. Thank you.
You want it? You can have
it. No. Awesome. Well, thank you. What do you have coming up this weekend? How long are you down in Madison for? And then what are you doing this weekend?
I actually go back tonight. There's not a lot on the calendar. It's our wedding anniversary on Sunday.
Oh, my goodness. Congratulations.
So we'll probably do something fun. We just went to an Alan Jackson concert. So that was our wedding present. But
wait a minute. Where was that? Okay. Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, yep.
I think
at the Pfizer Forum, which I did not vote for. It's a beautiful stadium, but I did not vote for it.
Just throw that in there. I think one of my friends was also on the board, Casey King. You know Casey, who runs the Dan King agency.
Yeah, she was down there. I saw she posted.
Oh, okay. Like I thought I heard something. Apparently that was like the last show he ever did. Like
I didn't know that. I knew he was on his last tour, but it was his last
show of the last tour. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. He's a legend. I'm a sucker for classic country music, so I had to see him before he croaked. So
country music.
We're losing him every day. We're losing him.
All right, man. Hey, thanks so much.
You bet. See you in a month.
Special thank you to Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn for taking the time to come on for a chat. And, of course, thank all of you for your comments and your questions today. I will see all of you right back here next Thursday, June 5th, when I'll be chatting with our good friend and friend of the show, North of 8 Design and Marketing founder, Emily Gall. So until then, for DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for watching and have a blessed day.